What's up, guys? Who needs Matt here, coming at you with another GOAT deck profile. Today I thought it'd be fun to take a look at my anti-meta warrior or warrior toolbox deck list for GO format. Due to the disease that shall not be named, I was unable to get a lot of IRL content lately, so I figured why not do 2 deck profiles this week. And so let's get right into the list. We have the warrior engine. I played 2 Blade Knight. I really like Blade Knight as it's just like a beat stick. You know, its effect is really good. Remove, stop those flip effects and things like that. 1 Warrior Lady and 1 Assailant. I know a lot of people don't really care too much for Assailant, but I really like Assailant in this deck. I like the fact that it's 1700, that it can really put pressure, on your opponent and things like that, and force them to respond to this card. So I really like Assailant. Some people like playing, instead they play 2 Don Zaloog. I'm only playing 1. I've flirted with the idea of playing with 2, but there's nothing I really want to cut from the deck for the second Don Zaloog. 1 Exiled Force, and then the last warrior monster is the Grandmaster. I really like this card. Spy is just such a struggle with this deck. So the fact that you have a main decked out to Spy is really cool. I don't like Mystic Swordsman in the main. I do Sideboard 1. I'm just not a fan of it in the main. It's just player preference, but for me, it's just not for me. I do play the water engine though. I play the 2 Abyss Soldiers, the Tribe, and then the 1 Serpent. A good little package. I wasn't originally playing Sangan. Like I started with it, cut it, and then I realized how valuable it was to go get Serpent to make those Abyss Soldiers usable every single turn. So I do find there is value in Sangan, and there is value in getting Don Zaloog when you know you're going to be able to get that card out of your opponent's hand and you feel like you can safely resolve Don Zaloog. So that's always nice. And then if you have a problem, you have Exiled Force and Warrior Lady, but you really don't have a ton of targets for Sangan in the deck, but Serpent is just so good to have. And the last monster is the one of Breaker. So that is it for the monster lineup. Let's get into the spell lineup here. We have the obvious 2 Rotas. We're going to want to search our warrior monsters. We're going to want to, toolbox into our deck. We're going to want to get whatever we need. I find myself holding this card, until I know exactly, what I need. If I have other options, I'll just hold Rota. It's like some people are like, okay, I want to thin my deck. I want to draw my trap cards. I don't want to be drawing extra monsters, which there is validity in that because, you don't want to just sit there and draw monster when your deck is mainly focused on playing a ton of stun. But I found that there you don't know what situation if you preemptively play this card, you may add something and the game state could change where you would wish you had something else. So I find myself holding this card until the time is right, and I don't know if that's the correct theory, but it seems to be working out pretty well for me. 3 Book of Moon. I started originally with 2 and then went up to 3. I don't know, I really like the 3 of Book of Moon just because a lot of people will bring in either Decree or 7 tools against this deck. So even then when I was only maining 2, I had the 3rd on the sideboard, but I decided to go with 3 in the main board. Some staple stuff. You got your Duo, your Snatch, and your Preemie, and then your 2 draw cards. Pot and Graceful. 2 Nox. This card is absolute ass against you, which is hilarious, but it will lead into the sideboard because people will side this out against you. So there are cards you can set in the sideboard, which is pretty funny, so that they don't have that inherent out. Some players might leave one in against you, but I don't like that theory. I think you just get the Nox out of the main board, side it out in the mirror. And then Heavy and Space. Then we'll get into the trap line up here. Double Dust. I like 2 Dust Tornadoes. I'm only playing, let me see, 2 Saku. So there is a philosophy of playing 1 Dust and 3 Saku, but I think rather this is a better way to protect your monsters. Protect them to hit the board as opposed to, protecting them from being attacked over. That's just my personal opinion. 1 Call. Again, really good. Don Zaloog in battle phase is awesome. Ring, Mirror Force, like I said, double Saku. Another reason I am playing double Saku opposed to 3 is because I really wanted to play 2 Compulse. This card is really good, obviously, for the Thousand Eyes. Thousand Eyes are strict. You want to have, because you just don't have enough outs to that card in this deck. So this is another really good out. Some people will side this card. And I didn't want to go 3-1, but there are some really cool interactions with Compulse that I found that are really fun. Like, I remember I attacked into a Cyber Jar, or one moment, and I had to set my Serpent, and my opponent got Duo off of that Cyber Jar. So when he duoed me, I compulsed my Serpent back to my hand and he hit it. So that was kind of a really funny play with this. But I just really like 2 compulse. 1 Torrential Tribute. And the last trap, we have 3 Solemn Judgment. Told you I'd get him to match. But this card is not very beginner friendly. I think this is the card that kind of pushes newer GOAT players, and old format players away from this deck, because this card is just very difficult to figure out whether or not you want to use it or not, when to set it, when not to set it, when to just pitch it off Graceful because you don't feel you'll get the value out of the life points. But this deck does grind out game states, and in the late game, this card is just It's and I don't want to say it's a blowout, but it is a blowout. It is a way to make sure that you are the one controlling the game, and it's very difficult to use properly. I'm not very good at it. I'm sure there are much better GOAT players you can take a look at to see how to use this card correctly. I'm sure there's plenty of videos on how to accurately use this card. I'm still learning. We're still getting there, but this is a very difficult card to play at 3, and it definitely pushes newer players away from this deck. We'll get into the sideboard real quick here. We have the 1 Mystic Swordsman LV2. Like I said, we want to side this card. This card's really good against Cast Turbo and things like that. A lot of flip effects. Good against Spy. 2 Mana Kings just for the Empty Jar matchup. I think Empty Jar is kind of making a resurgence, and you just don't want to just auto lose to that matchup. It's not fun to lose to that matchup. 2 Kycoos, again, for Chaos. Chaos is really good. 1 Kinetic for the Mirror. Again, this is another card that you can set in the mirror, and it's really funny because you're setting a monster, and they're like, what's going on? I have no idea. And then they just run into this thing, and it's pretty funny. And then you can obviously summon it and beat over, things like that if they have. Again, this is another good thing that Abyss Soldier is good against. 1 Jujitsu Master. Kind of the same reason, but it's also good against other decks, good against Monarchs and like Benkai and things like that. 1 Asura Priest. This deck has a really hard time with clearing goats. This is what I was going back and forth between Priest and Sangan, because like I was having a really hard time with that standard goat matchup and clearing goats and things of that nature and anything that plays Scapegoat. So I decided to just put it in the sideboard and see how it goes. And then the last monster is 1 Mobius. This card is... I was really hesitant about playing a tribute monster, but with Call and Preemie and things like that, it's not as bad. I actually see this being cited as in multiples in some builds, but for me, I don't want to dead draw these things, so I'm just going to go with 1. For spells on the side, I have 2 Mind Control. For anything that flips a lot, you could just take their Moth or take their whatever, their Night Assailant or their Decoichi, and, plus off of that. This deck does have a pretty hard time with things that are really big, so I'm opting to go with 2 Hammer Shots. There's nothing really in here that's bigger than Chaos Sorcerer or BLS or a Monarch or anything of that nature, so this card is pretty much always going to get their monsters. So if you have like a bigger threat, you have the Hammer Shots to get rid of it. You can play Smashing Grounds if you're just like against this card, but I like it. And then the last 2 cards are 2 Dustshoots. I know there are a lot of people that are really into 3 Dustshoot, but for me, this card, you can, like, later on in the game, it's going to be a little bit more dead. Yeah, 3 maximizes you opening the card, obviously, playing more copies, but I have other, trap cards that I can play that will kind of work the game state into my favor and things of that nature. So that's why I'm personally on the 2 Dustshoots. So let me know what you guys think of the deck, what you would change in the main, what you would change in the side. There's some duels in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe for more retro format content, and thanks for watching, guys.